Hi and welcome to Yoga Berry, your yoga for scoliosis community. I'm Christine Jareggi-Berry. I'm a yoga teacher and I specialize in yoga for scoliosis, and I've got a lovely rebalancing, restoring, evening practice for you today. So all that you need for this practice is a yoga belt and you will need a chair. So get everything ready and then join me on the mat. Going to start the practice in constructive resting position, which is lying on your back. Just have your belt somewhere close by so you don't need to get up again to find it. And we'll have the feet flat on the ground, knees bent, feet hip distance apart, just allowing for the body to settle into the ground. So it might be the first time today that you're lying down. So just give it a few moments, just allowing for the body to settle. And obviously we know that with our backs, with scoliosis, there's not going to be a completely even surface here on the ground, and that's okay. So we'll just let that be. We'll just observe at this point. We're not looking to change anything. So just notice if there's a difference between the contact of the right shoulder blade and the left shoulder blade with the ground. If there's a difference between the right side of the hips, left side of the hips. Again, we're not looking to change anything. We're just looking to allow for the muscles to release. And maybe you'll feel already that just after a few breaths, maybe the back of the rib cage is in a little bit more contact with the floor. Good. So if you are really uncomfortable in just lying on the back like this, you might want to cover your yoga mat with a blanket. Just make it a little bit softer, a little bit more, especially if you have quite a pronounced thoracic curve where you have quite a big rib hump. Then you might be better off just cushioning the yoga mat a little bit more. Otherwise, we're going to take hold of the belt and we're going to take it around the right foot. So right ball of the foot, extending the leg up towards the ceiling. Good. So what we're doing here is we are stretching out the hamstrings. Very good, very nice thing to do at the end of the day. It's also like a little inversion just for that right leg. So just imagining all the fluid kind of draining from this leg. If you have been sitting for a long time today, that's a great thing to do. So if your leg isn't straight here, that's okay. So if your pose looks more like this and your knee is bent, then that's okay. What we don't want is the leg out here. So you want it at a right angle, so the sole of the foot facing up towards the ceiling. So just using your exhale to either maybe straighten the leg a little bit more up towards the ceiling, or if you're quite bendy, if your leg is already straight, then just ever so slightly pulling on the belt and draw the leg in towards you. But just make sure that you keep the back of the pelvis down, so we're still lengthening through the crown of the head and the tailbone. And then optional, you could either stay here or you could extend that left leg out on the ground, pushing through the left heel. So it just changes that stretch slightly. Let's see if we can still keep the upper body and the shoulders relaxed. So I have my arms relatively straight here. So the shoulders can just kind of drop and hang. Imagine extending through the back of the heel. Let's take one more breath. And then slowly release, and we're going to change sides. So bend your knees again. Take the belt around the left foot. Extending the leg up towards the ceiling. So again, if your knee is bent, that's okay. Just using your exhale to straighten that leg a little bit more. Inhale, slightly releasing. Or if your leg is already straight, then just ever so slightly pulling on your belt to draw the leg in towards you. Good, so either staying here or maybe extend your right leg out on the ground, really pushing through the right heel. And just knowing that this is not just a leg stretch here, but those muscles here at the back of the leg, they're directly connected to the lower back as well. So what we're effectively doing is releasing the lower back. And obviously if we're releasing the lower back, we're also releasing the upper back. So it's got kind of an effect onto the whole body. Good, so let's take one more breath. And then release. Just put the belt to the side. And just for a moment, just observe if anything's changed. You could straighten the legs out. Maybe they feel a little bit more loose, a little bit longer. And then let's bend the knees and just move the knees from side to side. So just like a windscreen wiper, bringing some movement into the back. Good, and then roll yourself over to the side. Take your time to slowly make your way up into sitting. Good, so from sitting we're going straight into all fours. So bringing the hands directly underneath the shoulders, the knees directly underneath the hips. And we're not going to take it into cat-cow today, we're going to take it into circular movements. So circling around the hands and the knees, just really releasing the spine. So it's worked quite hard all day, just being upright, any activities. So let's give it a little bit of attention, a little bit of movement. So be a little bit more creative with those circles. And I'm taking my hands a little bit further forward now because I feel like I can open a little bit more. So let the circles become a little bit more three-dimensional. So there's maybe some rounding and some arching. Really move in a way that feels right for your body. Maybe letting the movements become a little bit more random. So it doesn't always have to be around in one circle. Good. And then let's tuck the toes under from here. We're going to take it straight into downward dog. So drawing the shoulder blades down at the back, tucking the toes under, and then sending the hips up towards the ceiling, really lengthening through the spine. So we want to create as much length as possible. Notice that my legs, if you are watching, my knees are bent because my priority is not to stretch the hamstrings, but it's really to create space in the back, creating space in between each and every vertebra, really stretching out. Good, and then let's slowly release and let's come into child's pose. So send your hips all the way back onto the heels. You can either take the arms alongside the body or make a pillow with the forearms. Just releasing, breathing into the back. Good, and then slowly bringing yourself up. So we're going to need our chair now. So I'm bringing the chair a little bit further in. So you can see we're going to do a little forward bend before we come into relaxation. So I'm taking the legs out on either side of the chair. So this is high enough to make this a really nice and safe back bend. Obviously, if your hamstrings are really tight and you just feel like you can't do this, you're really rounding into the back, there's two things you can do. You can either sit a little bit higher, so bring a cushion or blanket underneath the bottom, sitting up a little bit higher. or support your knees with a rolled up towel or blanket so the knees are slightly bent. Good. So from here, we're just going to rest the forearms onto the chair. So it's just a little forward bend. So especially if you are more flexible, you might say, well, I can go a lot further, but this is not our priority here for this evening practice. What we want to do is release the neck and the shoulders. So just rest your arms onto the chair. Just breathing into the back of the neck. It's really lovely, calming pose. Starting to prepare the body for sleep. Releasing any remaining tension. So just allowing for the neck muscles to soften a little bit more. Allowing for the shoulders to soften. And then just slowly bring yourself up, and we're going to keep the chair close by. We're coming to lying down on the back. So again, if you want to use a blanket to cover your yoga mat, then that's fine. Make sure that you're warm enough, as we're going to elevate the legs now. So you might want to put some socks on if you're sensitive to the cold. And then just lying on your back, resting the lower legs onto the chair. You can do this obviously on a couch as well, or your bed if you're already in your bedroom. So what we want to make sure is that the edge of the chair is lined up with the backs of the knees. And then all you need to do is allow for the upper body to rest. So really nice inverted position here, kind of the antidote to sitting during the day. So the back is completely supported here. Relationship to the ground is completely different, so there's no need for any muscles to keep you in this upright position. And obviously with scoliosis we always have that pull of gravity where we're trying to kind of fight against it, so we're not completely giving in to the sideward curve. So there's a lot of effort required just standing, just sitting. So here we're taking all of that out of the equation. Just allow for the upper body to release. Allow for the hips to release. We're also softening the hip flexors. And then you can obviously stay here for as long as you'd like, and recommended time for this pose is a minimum of 10 minutes. But we're slowly going to start to come out now. So let's roll over to the side, and then supporting yourself with your hands, bringing yourself up into sitting. Good. So I really hope that you enjoyed this calming evening practice and that you get a really, really good night's sleep. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you very soon for the next video.